Oh, this is Rudy Giuliani. America's Mayor Live, just about to start, and what we're doing is checking out a breaking story, which is that something has happened to the spy balloon, and has it blown up? Has it gone on fire? Have we finally shot it down? Wow, what does the Biden administration need? An invasion? Imagine what would have happened on September 11th. I actually said that to Bernie Carrick during September 11th. I said, thank God Al Gore is not the president. They probably would have responded pretty much the way Clinton did, bombed some empty fields and said that was it. But in any event, this is pretty much outrageous. We've allowed China to have a spy balloon running all over the United States of America. According to the articles that I see, it's basically over sensitive areas and sensitive places, whatever that means. They don't describe what they mean by sensitive. And I would say that it's just yet another indication of how cowardly and feckless and useless and ridiculous the Biden administration is. A country can send a spy balloon over the United States, and we don't demand that it be removed. And if it's not removed, we're going to shoot it down. I mean, do you understand? If you understand this, if you understand how this isn't almost like acting like a traitor to let this happen, would you explain it to me? What am I missing? What am I missing here? China has announced it wants to displace the United States as the leading country in the world by 2048. They seem to be on a track that's a lot faster than that. They seem to be on a track, I would say, maybe in half that time. They've built their navy to larger than ours, even though we're supposed to be a two-ocean navy, and they're just one. Their military spending is considerably, percentage-wise, increasing a lot faster than ours. We're either reducing or staying level. And now they send a big, giant balloon over the United States that is giving all the appearances of spying, which, whether it is or it isn't, we've got to treat as a provocation. And that you want to look like you're spying, you are spying. And you want to mess around with us, we don't mess around. So, I mean, there are any number of strategies that could have been employed. The only one that shouldn't have been employed is to allow China to do it. Now, have we finally shot it down? I don't know. I would say better late than never. Better never late, but I can't tell you that that's the case. All we know is there's some kind of an explosion. Now, why has the U.S. not shot it down? I mean, you've got to figure that. They're telling us it's much harder to shoot down than it appears to be. But I mean, that's if it's hard for us to shoot down a stationary balloon, we got a lot of work to do to prepare ourselves for a possible conflict with anyone, much less China. It's a big fat balloon moving at a very slow rate of speed. It would seem to me that we could, if we are indeed, is that the?
That's live video, Mayor.
That's live video.
Or a few minutes old. Sorry, it's a video just
and that
minutes ago. I'll zoom in.
So what we all we see is like a plume of smoke, smaller one, and then more here. This almost looks like some kind of a rocket, doesn't it? Right here.
Yeah.
Are they able to see it? Are they
You can see it.
able to see this
Yeah.
on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. See if we can hit that little button down there on that one. And you need to hit it in the back.
Not sure what that was.
You want that to work? Put this in. And can you plug this into something? If you can, you'll get it to work.
Smoke on the plane.
So where is this that we're looking at, Ted? Do you know?
This is outside Billings, Montana.
Billings, Montana. So this footage is being taken from a house in Billings, Montana. Watch again. Okay, let's watch again. Now, what you can't tell is because of the clouds and is this what remains of the balloon, or is this just something coming out of the balloon? In other words, has the balloon been exploded and this is the remains of it, or are we?
They say the balloon may have had spy equipment the size of 2 school buses. So this was not a small balloon.
No, you could see it was a very big balloon, but the question I'm asking now is if people can see this, right?
They can. We have zoomed in.
Okay, now if we go up higher, now they're going up much higher. We're trying to what we're trying to figure out is there a balloon still up there, or is this the remains?
But there is a ton of
That looks like it's the remains of the balloon. That's quite a bit of smoke.
smoke on the plane.
Well, I think she agrees with me. She just said smoke on the plane. So I'm going to suggest that we plug this in.
In my neighborhood.
Can we?
Yep, I'm working on it.
All right. This says here, haha, Biden didn't blow it up. I don't know what that means. And I think we're watching the same film. So let's watch it one more time, and then we'll see if we can get something more current here. We don't see it. We don't see any remains of a balloon. We do see this large amount of smoke coming down and something below it headed to the ground. The question is that what's left of the balloon? Or is there more left of the balloon and this is debris from the balloon? If I had to guess, I'm guessing that's and here we go. We press back here one more time. There's a button back here. You have to press. It's a little. You just got to press it from back there. Did you press it?
Not sure what that was, but there is a ton of
That's it. Now it's white. Okay.
smoke on the plane.
See it move?
All right. In my
So-
neighborhood.
So I don't think we know yet what that is. So let's see if we can get something, an update on that. Ted, we'll see if we can get an update on that.
Yes, this is happening in real time. This is recorded just minutes ago. That is amateur footage taken from an individual and put out on the internet about 8 minutes ago. No one is confirming exactly what it is yet. People have reported military fighter jets in the area and now awaiting further details on what exactly we're dealing with.
What you don't know is whether it.
Well, we're not sure if it's, are we dealing with multiple balloons? There's reports of another suspected Chinese spy balloon over Latin America. Multiple reports of these balloon sightings, of course, in Canada and the U.S. Could it be the same one? We saw NORAD tracking it today. People saying they saw it over Missouri. But, of course, this explosion happening tonight over Montana, which is where we first learned about this yesterday. China acknowledged Friday that a high-altitude balloon that was spotted in Montana belongs to Beijing, but they referred to it as a civilian device used for scientific research such as meteorology. What do you think of that response?
I don't believe it. How do you like that? Of course I don't believe it. When did China tell the truth about anything? Before the communists took over. Explosion in the sky. Well,
So, of course, we're following this. Thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live. Reports of an explosion over Montana. We are tracking that to determine if this was, in fact, the suspected Chinese spy balloon that we first learned about yesterday over Montana.
so it says here, explosion in the sky seen above Billings, Montana, where Chinese balloon was spotted in the U.S. airspace. Resident witnesses jet zoom after officials said they would shoot down balloon because it was over a number of sensitive sites. Residents in Billings, Montana, reported an explosion in the sky. Bizarre video of the aftermath shows a trail of smoke. That's what we just watched, right? Where the balloon was last spotted. This is the balloon earlier. If you just want to take a look at it here, you can see how large it is. I mean, it looks like a moon, right?
That's right.
It's rather large. Now, this is not now. This is earlier. And then it exploded. And we had a fairly good shot of that. So we'll have to see if this is the result of. We'll have to see if this is the result of something that happened to the balloon. Did we shoot the balloon down? And is the balloon gone? And finally, is there a second balloon somewhere hanging out from China? Which gets us to the question, Ted, what the hell's it doing there? And why was it there so long? And what in God's name is Biden doing, letting this balloon float over the United States for so long? And what they describe as, but don't tell us in detail, are sensitive facilities. Why would we let China fly over sensitive facilities and sort of taunt us in this way?
That's right, Mayor. Is it embarrassing how long it took the administration to respond to this? I mean, even if they did end up shooting this down tonight, they let this go for at least 24 hours. Or do you think this is just the right thing to do and it was just a matter of time? And maybe their initial reaction was incorrect, but they were kind of put in, people eventually came to their senses within the administration and they shot it down.
I don't know. I mean, I think we'd only be guessing, wouldn't we? We'd only be guessing what happened.
Well, what do you think would happen? I mean, you've been around the 45th president many times. You spent a lot of time with him. What happens if somebody walks into his office and says, "Mr. President, we got this Chinese spy balloon over Montana. What would you like us to do?"
I think he would have. I think he would have shut it down. I mean, I don't have any doubt that at some point, maybe there would have been an opportunity for them to respond with a question: "What the heck is going on?" Right? But then there would have been. I'm trying to see if I can get an idea of whether the thing is still. There's nothing else on it right now. I would think the prudent thing to do would have been to first communicate with China and tell them to withdraw it. Give them a short period of time to do it. Tell them if it's not withdrawn, all the options are in our hands. I would not tell them I was shooting it down. I would just make it clear that if they don't get it out of there, we have no responsibility for it. Should it be shot down? And then if I gave him 6 hours that I didn't hear back, I wouldn't call him back. At 6:01, I'd shoot it down. I'd make it clear we're willing to be reasonable but tough as nails. Reasonable meaning we'd give him a chance to withdraw it, give him a very brief chance to withdraw it. And should they not comply with that demand, that the darn thing's going to be shot down. If they sent a second one, then the second one I shoot down right away. And the third one I'd shoot down until they stopped. And make it known to them, you don't get to spy over the United States of America. I mean, now we don't have a president, so Joe Biden, what's today, Friday, right? So Joe Biden is somewhere at one of those houses where he secreted classified documents, probably for the benefit of Hunter. And he's probably in his whatever room they put him in, so he knows who he is. This is the problem in having a president who is not of sound mind, right? I mean, basically, we have a president who, and I know, is not capable of making complex decisions. He's not capable of uttering complex sentences, much less make complex decisions. I just don't know how to if this were a rational president, Republican or Democrat, you would have some pretty good idea of what he was going to do. His prior decision making would tell you that. But this is bizarre, and I also think would not have happened but for the fact that we have a president that the Chinese know they can take advantage of, because one, they have him compromised. Two, he's witless. Three, he's always been a weakling. The terrible situation we're in, and I really do think he should be removed under the 25th Amendment. And whatever happens with Kamala Harris happens, but at least, or so it appears, she has a sound mind. You may not like her policies, you may not like her personality, you may not like her character. I don't know what else there is to look at, but she meets the qualification of being able to carry out the duties of the office. He doesn't. And this is a frightening situation, to have a massive power that has nuclear weapons taunting us when we have someone in charge who doesn't know what he's doing. And the generals, I guess, made this decision not to do this. There was a general report, Ted, that he wanted to shoot down, and the generals said no. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, it is the president who decides, not the generals. But in a situation like this, when the generals, when the president has less than a functioning rational mind, it's a terrible situation that we're in. A terrible situation. Well, let's see if we can get more information on it. It's hard not to. It's hard not to spend a little time on the Hunter Biden case with his lawyer, who has now made a complete and absolute total fool out of himself, because he's now kind of withdrawn his admission from yesterday that was Hunter Biden's laptop. Yesterday's foolishness and incompetence and malpractice revolves around the fact that his claim is based on the computer being illegally in the hands of John Mac Isaac. We showed you yesterday conclusive proof that John Mac Isaac had legal claim to it. The computer was dropped off with him on April the 12th of 2019. Hunter Biden, in the document you saw last night, signed a work order. The work order stipulated that if the computer was not reclaimed or taken back within 90 days of a notice of completion of service, then it would be abandoned, and the merchant would be held harmless against any injuries or any liabilities caused thereby. That is a typical merchant's protection. If somebody just wants to leave things behind, it becomes his property. That gives you an incentive to go get it. He also produced, Mr. Mac Isaacs did a notice that was sent, if I recall correctly, on April 17th of 2019, that basically said that the computer was ready and should be picked up. And began the 90-day period running. Within that 90 days, Hunter Biden did not pick up the computer. Within the next 2 years, Hunter didn't pick up the computer. Hunter didn't pick up the computer when it became public. Hunter instead, and his family, suggested that it was, his father did on a national televised debate, that it was Russian disinformation, and specifically accused me of being involved in it, in the Russian disinformation, which of course was a lying, fabricated, defamatory statement from the then candidate for president against me and against my colleagues, but not par for the course for the Bidens and for the Democrats. But they were not saying then that this was somehow stolen by anyone. They were saying this was a Russian product. When that blew up and proved to be a complete lie, of course they didn't apologize. Of course they didn't say to the American people, we were wrong for some reason. What they did was spend a little time and now have come up with a second group of lies, which is, despite the fact that there are documents that clearly state the contrary, they say that John Mac Isaac stole it. Except there's the work order that says if you don't pick it up in 90 days, it becomes John Mac Isaac's property. It's abandoned and it belongs to the merchant. And he didn't pick it up in 90 days. And we know he didn't, because a year and a half later, he's claiming it's Russian disinformation and not his. Wow. Now, why are they lying so much in all these tangled webs? Why is this lawyer doing something so stupid as to first admit that it's Hunter's? Then when all the lawyers jump up and down and say, boy, Abby, that's the stupidest thing we ever heard. Today he tries to withdraw it and say, well, I really didn't mean that he owned it. Well, what did you mean? Well, you didn't mean anything, because you were trying to come up with some concocted lie, which, by the way, you gave to the Justice Department, which makes it a false statement under 18 United States Code, Section 1001. That's what you tried to prosecute Flynn for. What about prosecuting Abby Lowell for that? If he was a Trump lawyer, you'd be searching his house by now. like you did mine, but Trump lawyers are treated differently than Biden lawyers, aren't they? If Biden lawyers lie, we just yawn. If Trump lawyers do anything that you can make into a lie, we disbar them. This is the same bar association that's coming after me for a case in Pennsylvania, which of course had nothing to do with DC, Pennsylvania, in which the judge in the case never cited me for doing anything wrong, did not find any sanctions under Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, didn't refer me for any kind of discipline, nor did my adversaries in the case. There was a political letter written and a political document filed that started this whole big multi-million-dollar litigation that I have to fight to preserve my law license for acting improperly in this case in Pennsylvania, in which nobody involved in the case said I acted improperly, but the Bar Association of the District of Columbia has decided I did. Well, where are they now? When Abbe Lowell sends a clearly false statement to the Justice Department seeking something pretty serious, criminal investigations, which are horrendous, right? Criminal investigations based on property being improperly in the hands of these people when there's clear documentation that they had every right to the document, and then waiting 2.5 years to make that claim. So why isn't he being disciplined? You know why? Because there's a double standard in this country. The double standard is that if we can find a mistake or make one up about a Trump lawyer, we raid his house, we raid his law office, and we try to disbar him. If a Biden lawyer blatantly lies, has to withdraw the lie because it's so stupid, really practices malpractice with regard to his client by putting him in this position, everybody just looks at it and says, oh, mistakes can be made. But we're not going to prosecute him under Section 1001, which we clearly could him. The DC bar, which is so careful about ethics, where it involves Trump lawyers, doesn't seem to give a damn where it involves Biden lawyers. You think we have a double standard in this country? You're damn well correct that we do. Problem is, it's all falling in on them, and I think it's about ready to crash. Now, notice what Abbe Lowell and what they do is they really do, and this is really cheap. This would be like you were back in Tammany Hall, New York in the 19th century, and you go to the people you can fix the case with. He writes the letter to the Attorney General of Delaware. This is a Biden close ally, Kathy Jennings. She has endorsed him. He's endorsed her. She was hired by his son. She's campaigned with him often. Like, she's going to be an objective investigator of these false claims that are made against me and Steve Bannon and gosh, who else is in this? Myself, Steve. Is Bernie Kerik mentioned this? I don't know. But whoever it is, whatever group of Trump supporters they want to torture this time. So she'll be the torturer in chief, and she is a complete Bidenista, 100%, 1,000%, going back to Beau Biden. Her deputy is a close friend of Hunter's. He's the chief deputy. So Chief Deputy AG Alexander Mackler was Biden's deputy counsel when Biden was the VP. So when Biden was taking all this money from these countries, this guy was his deputy counsel. When he was headed off to Ukraine 13 or 14 times to collect the millions he was getting from the crooks there. The guy who's going to investigate me was his deputy AG, was his deputy counsel. That should be a really fair investigation. What do you think? And then the guy in the Justice Department, which of course is Daddy's Justice Department, this guy has an article. This guy has an article. This guy has an article. Why ISIS supports Donald Trump. Oh, that's just part of. And Senator Rubio had to have him removed because he no longer has the credibility necessary to fill this important role, given the partisan nature of his post-government writings. That's Olson, the guy in the Justice Department. That Abby Lowell sent this to people who would be very much inclined to do exactly what they did with the Hillary Clinton case, exactly what they've been doing with the Biden cases up until now, which is to fix them, meaning they don't do anything with them. I don't know. You send it to his AG, the AG he owns in Delaware, who has a deputy that was his deputy counsel when he was doing all this corruption. He's going to do one investigation. And then the guy who's going to do the other investigation has written articles like why ISIS supports Donald Trump. And long before this, Marco Rubio had to throw him off a commission because he lacked credibility because of his post-government writings demonstrating the Trump derangement syndrome in large measure. Here he looks. Look at him. Look how angry he looks. Just take a look how angry he looks. That's him right there.
Back a little bit, Mayor.
Yeah, Jennings is the one on the other side, the female. But look how angry that guy looks. He wants to put me in jail. That guy.
You think that? So that must be his picture he took at a professional shot. I've always find it interesting people's poses for their.
Yeah. Well, he's posing.
Shots,
he's
right?
posing to be tough.
He's a tough guy, right? That's a wannabe.
I got to tell you, John Gotti was tougher.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I would take threats from John Gotti a little more seriously.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically, Abby Lowell is asking that these people put me and Bannon and several under criminal investigation because we were dealing with documents that were improperly taken from Hunter Biden, and that's a false statement. The documentation of April 12th, 2019, which is signed by Hunter Biden, says clearly after 90 days that becomes the property that's abandoned, and it becomes the property of anyone who has it. In this case, John Mac Isaacs. It's as clear as the nose on your face, but not to these crooks. Man, they really are. I wonder what else they're going to do now that the house of cards is falling down. I wonder what other desperate, crazy things they're going to do. And where did they get these lawyers that will write anything to them? Because the lawyers know that the DC bar is a partisan joke. Or it is a partisan joke if it doesn't do anything about this, isn't it? I mean, they went after me for a case that had nothing to do with them, in which the judge made no finding or statement. And they went to the extreme measure of trying to disbar me. As again, nobody in the litigation found anything wrong with what I'm doing. It was people outside of it based on political reasons. Now we've got demonstrable lies. He says that John Mac Isaacs had no right to possess these. John Mac Isaacs has produced the contract and the notice. Contract says abandoned in 90 days. If you don't take it in 9 days, it's abandoned. If you get the notice, here's the notice. 90 days has gone by now years ago. And now, after all the lies beforehand about it being Russian disinformation, and which also were very, very defamatory and untrue from the same people, they got a new set of lies. What is the third group of lies going to be? And when is somebody going to do something about it? When? When do they get disciplined for misusing the judicial process or for being unethical lawyers? When? When do we become a country where the system of justice is equal again? Until we do, we're going to be disunited. This is another example of the double standard. And it sounds too mild when you say double standard. It's another example of a country that's slipping into a fascist territory, isn't it? Isn't it? But look at this is, see if Daddy's lawyers that we put there can help you get out of this by fixing the case like they did for Hillary. Anything more on the spy balloon?
We are following this. Of course, multiple reports of an explosion over Montana. China had, of course, admitted that this balloon was, in fact, did belong to them, but said it was for civilian purposes, for what that's worth. So, live updates. This is just within the hour, ladies and gentlemen. Video about a half hour ago coming out from around Billings, Montana. A large explosion in what appears to be whenever you see an aircraft going down, sometimes it looks similar to that with a long trail. We played it earlier tonight.
We'll play it again before we get off, unless we get something more current.
Not getting any confirmation yet, for example, from the U.S. military.
No confirmation that we hit it?
No confirmation that that's what has happened, yes, and no reporters. But of course, it just seems.
Does it look like we hit it?
Observer. Massive explosion over Billings, Montana. Military helicopters have been activated. Fox News apparently has the governor of Montana. Well, let's wait. We're going to try and confirm that tweet before saying anything. This is a fast-moving story, of course. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte tells Fox's Tucker Carlson that he was just informed of the explosion in Billings, Montana. The governor is monitoring the situation. So he was just informed about minutes after these reports were.
And as far as we know, the situation is that the balloon has exploded, but we don't know why the balloon has exploded. We can only speculate that the most likely possibility, I guess, the most likely possibility is that it was hit by a missile or something. Only because that would be the logical thing for an American president to do. But of course, we don't have a logical president, so.
Mayor, this morning, I had a feeling, especially once you saw the news coverage. I mean, Fox News put a little window on the screen, right, tracking the balloon. I had a feeling, even if Biden didn't want to do it, he'd have to. I mean, my goodness, a literal Chinese spy balloon in the skies. Like, look how does that look? So I figured he'd eventually, one way or another, be forced to do something about it.
You think he's moved by things like that? I mean, or is he? I guess people can tell him. I don't think he'd be aware of it.
Thinking at him, right? But people around him are like, all right, look, we got to do this. I mean, it's silly. And the news tonight, I mean, this is all they're gonna cover. And whether it deserves the attention it's getting, it does. You know, it's a balloon. It's China. It's something you can track in the sky, so it sells. And people, I don't think Americans, parts of politics aside, I think Americans are growing very wary of China. And so, anyway, that's kind of my thought on the matter.
Well, they clearly we're testing him. I mean, there's
Yeah. There you go. That's a good way of putting it.
there's no question they're
The
testing.
Chinese. Good point, Mayor.
The way Putin sort of, if you recall, before Putin went into Ukraine, even though he had the example of Afghanistan and Biden's complete cowardice, he kind of pushed him for 3 or 4 months and got him to say, we won't use the American military. We won't use the American military. We won't use the military. He sort of exhausted him into making it clear that there'd be no military confrontation by the United States, which made it somewhat easier for Russia. I don't think Putin ever calculated the resolve and the capacity of the Ukrainian people, and then the help that the West would give them. But it's really their resolve more than anything else. The two Delaware prosecutors that would be involved in this. One is a veteran of the Obama administration and liberal think tanks. No, I'm sorry. The two Delaware prosecutors have very deep ties to the Biden family, while the DOJ official is a veteran of the Obama administration and liberal think tanks with a strong animus toward Donald Trump. It says here, Hunter Biden's attorney, Abby Lowell, tried to walk back his prior admission that the laptop did indeed belong to his client, while he's calling for a criminal investigation of people for not committing a crime, since it was clearly the property of John Mac Isaacs. And the two people in the Delaware office are Kathy Jennings, who was supported all throughout her career by the Biden family, including Beau Biden, and is considers herself very close to President Biden. And then even closer to the Biden family is Jennings' chief deputy, Alexander Mackler, who served as Joe's press secretary. And his name appears frequently in Hunter's laptop. So he's got his friend investigating the people who are pursuing him and who were the ones who were courageous enough to bring out his criminal conduct when so many others had covered it up. I mean, this is about as dirty as it gets, but this is a dirty group of people. This is a lifetime criminal, Joe Biden, that we have here. And we just want to make sure we've got them up to date on the story of the moment, which is the balloon. Here is a picture of Kathy Jennings on Facebook with the Bidens. This is going to be the one who's investigating me. Think she's objective? What do you think, Ted?
Yeah, that's a pretty chummy picture.
Well, I mean, he made a career, but now she's going to investigate the people who caught his son and him in a massive crime. That really works out well, huh? Yeah, Mackler has written back and forth to Hunter. This is one of the other investigators that this has been given to. This is the number 2 guy in the in Daddy's AG's office, the one run by Jennings. He writes to Hunter in October 2018. I just finished a hellacious couple of months in court. Now that I have a chance to breathe, was wondering how life is on your end. Last you told me you were out in LA. Give me a call sometime, we can catch up. Love you, brother. It's nice having a guy who loves you, investigating the people who have revealed 30 years of your criminality. on a specious claim that it was stolen property when the documents make it clear that it wasn't. Here are the documents, by the way. It's unfortunate that our TV is still not working and we can't blow this up for you. But this is the purchase order. This is the purchase order that was signed on the 12th of April, 2019. You're just going to have to take my word for the bottom of it.
Hold it up.
Well,
I write it out underneath. It says what it says.
Equipment left with the Mac shop after 90 days of notification and completed will be treated as abandoned. See, these are the words in the right. So was it abandoned? Here's the notice.
Yeah.
So 90 days from April 17, 2019, long ago. This property was abandoned and became the property of John Mac Isaac, the person in whose possession it was. This is the definitive answer, which makes Abby Lowell a liar on behalf of his client. We know the Bidens are liars. It's a shame that lawyers will lie for them.
Thanks for joining us.
And nothing will happen to them because they're Democrat lawyers, whereas Republican lawyers will be tortured just for representing Trump.
Some of these hours just fly by, Mayor. We just have 10 minutes left. And of course, we're following some very big stories tonight. But be sure to visit RudyGiulianiCS.com. That's RudyGiulianiCS.com. Mayor, what does the CS stand for?
Common sense.
And check out the mayor's latest podcast, and we have some very exciting new ones coming up. And of course, thanks for tuning in tonight. America's Mayor Live, the fastest hour on the internet. We've had a very, very large chat audience tonight, possibly because of this most recent breaking news with the balloon, the video coming out that we have not been able to confirm as authentic, but everybody, every news organization and many public figures are taking that video to be authentic. But we do want to caution that we have not authenticated the video.
Well, I mean, it's even if it is authentic, it doesn't really give you a lot of answers to a lot of questions. Number one, does that mean that the entire balloon has been blown up? It looks like it has. But again, we don't see any remnants of the balloon and we don't see the explosion. When you look at the size of the cloud that's descending, it does seem like the entire balloon has been blown up. Number two, was it blown up internally or was it hit by a rocket or other device that blew it up? If it was that done by the United States? And it does seem to show that the one of the issues being raised as to why not do it would be the damage it would cause to the people below. It does look from the nature of that plume and that there isn't going to be any real danger below. By the time it gets there, pretty much everything will be evaporated. But let's hope that's the case. I do want to point out that there's a new book out by Doug Schoen. You probably know Doug Schoen. You've seen him on Fox quite a bit. He's a Democrat, conservative Democrat, big supporter of Bill Clinton's, and then after that, somewhat more critical of the Democrat Party, including to some extent Hillary. I would say there's a discernible break with the Democrats around the time of Hillary. But in any event, he wrote a book called Power, the 50 Truths, the Definitive Insider's Guide, published by Reagan Arts. And in it, there is a claim that Bill Clinton was so busy with all of his complex personal problems that he didn't pay attention to bin Laden, and that his response on August 20, 1998, when Clinton ordered cruise missiles to strike against Al-Qaeda in the Sudan and Afghanistan in retaliation for the bombing of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania was a very, very muted, almost benign reaction. And it missed Osama bin Laden. A lot of people believe that gave bin Laden the sense that we were weaklings, a paper tiger, and therefore could be attacked. And I remember at the time both that and the barracks. I was very critical. Don't know how publicly, because I was the mayor at the time, and also I was the city that really was most at risk because they were trying. They ended up trying some of these cases there, and we had to lock down a good deal of the city before September 11. I was very critical of the modest, weak response of Bill Clinton. In fact, to me, it was such a major issue that on September 11, one of the things I remember the most, after the second plane hit, I grabbed Bernie Kerrick's arm. We had just been trapped in a building for a half hour and almost died with a group of other people. And when the second building came down, I said, thank God Al Gore is not the president, because I feared a Clinton-like response. So they attribute Schoen, who's a friend of Clinton's, or was, I thought. He said Schoen, the article says Schoen was baffled and disturbed by Clinton's lack of discipline that led him to have sex with White House intern Lewinsky. I watched this unraveling happen close up in painful slow motion from inside the White House. I watched the White House surreptitiously mount a whispering campaign to discredit Lewinsky. And then the point of it is that he took his eye off the ball. The ball being bin Laden. That when bin Laden did strike, his strike back was not commensurate with what had to be done to convince bin Laden that we were a superpower and that we would do what Bush did ultimately a few days or a few weeks after the attack of September 11, which is to launch a massive counterattack. And it sure, if anything, did slow bin Laden down. Whatever your criticisms of Bush, his singular action there probably prevented another September 11. Whereas the argument here by Schoen is that this contributed to September 11. I'm giving that to you to read, not as my own opinion, because having lived through September 11, having almost died during September 11, and having a certain amount of survivor's guilt as a result of it, and because I lost some very, very close friends, I just not going to attribute September 11 to anybody but the Islamic terrorists who did it. I think this is stretching a little with regard to Bill Clinton. I mean, do we want to take a lesson from this? And that is, when we're going to strike, we better strike back hard and not with these measly little responses. Yeah, we sure as hell better. But no American wanted September 11. No American should be blamed for it, unless you show me solid proof. And that comes from somebody heavily affected by it. I think I have a right to make a statement like that. So I like Doug very much, and I think Doug has an interesting theory here, but I think this is laying an awful lot on the president. I'm really, really interested, and I'm sorry that we have to go off at this point, because I'm really interested in knowing what the heck happened with this balloon. I mean, for the last day since I've been aware of it, I just don't understand this balloon. I mean, I don't understand a lot about Biden, I guess. I guess I should. I know more about him than most people, other than his family, right? I got years of his life in the computer, tape recordings, texts, dirty pictures, perverted pictures, many perverted texts, complications you can't believe. But how do you let China put a spy balloon over the United States and wait all this time to do something about it? I guess better late than never. But just think of all the time they had up there to photograph and send back to China whatever the hell they wanted. Maybe they got what they wanted already. Does that occur to these people? Because go back to CS, Ted. Do they have any common sense? Is there common sense missing among modern Democrat leaders? It isn't among Democrats. Democrats are sensible people, intelligent people.
He's palling around with at a DNC winter meeting in Philadelphia.
Who is?
The president.
Right now?
Right now.
He's not on the. Okay. Now this is outrageous to me, and I've written a book on leadership and I've given courses on emergency management. What the hell is he not in the Situation Room for? Why do we build the damn thing? I mean, there's no way if I were the president or I was working with the president now, wouldn't get that president's ass right in the Situation Room, where he can be surrounded by world-class communications, world-class information, where it can be delivered to him in a calm, or not a calm atmosphere, but an atmosphere that will make it as calm as possible for good decision-making. That'll give everybody else confidence that he has control of the situation. What are you talking about? He's out of Pennsylvania. What? Isn't he sleeping in his house? Every Friday he goes home and sleeps for an entire weekend. He's taking more time off than he works. Where he's in Pennsylvania, he's in Philadelphia doing what?
The president is in Philadelphia at a DNC event, making an announcement at the Belmont Water Treatment Plant, and that's why that's his excuse for going there. But his big thing was a DNC winter meeting in City Center. He's
there now at 9 o'clock on Friday night.
That was what the schedule said. I'm sure by now he's fast asleep.
You think they'll wake him up? I mean, if another balloon shows up, or wait until they take 4,622 pictures.
There is a second balloon being reported in Central America.
How long was this balloon over the United States? And in that period of time, you're a photographer and I'm an amateur photographer. How many pictures could they have taken during that period of time?
There's some close-up shots of the thing. All sorts of equipment.
Seems very large. I mean, again, all of this is perspective. It's so far away. It's hard to, and you got to know where the camera was. But it looks like a pretty darn big balloon.
Don't we want to know what's on board? Don't we want that technology? Shouldn't we? I mean, they must understand it's over our airspace. We're going to shoot it down. What are they going to do? That's not going to lead to a tip.
I mean, I imagine this is completely unrealistic, but I certainly would ask the question. Any way we could capture it?
Yeah. Exactly. And
I imagine that's totally unreal. That'd be unrealistic. They could blow it up before we captured it. I assume it's unmanned. And for
maybe not.
Oh, they wouldn't care if they killed a couple of their people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the best news for Xi Jinping is he lose a couple of Chinese people. I mean, it's like when Crooked Fauci said, "Oh, the Chinese never would want to kill their own people. They never want to kill their own people."
They do it every day.
I think they have the world record for killing their own people. It's about 80 million, Fauci, rat face. So maybe, I mean, come on. That guy came up with the biggest bunch of bull right from the beginning. Yeah, I got him. Right from the beginning, I got him. From the moment he's turned around on hydroxychloroquine, which 5 years earlier he said was one of the safest medicines in history. And had an impact on viruses too. It's so dangerous. If you go near it, you're going to die. I figured this guy's got some kind of monetary motive, and now he won't give up his royalties. He will not give up his royalties. I got a nose for these people. You should know that. That's why I was so successful in prosecuting so many. I got a nose for crooks. Not a crook.
Very impressed, Mayor, of course.
Are you on? Does our audience get to see you, Ted?
Sometimes there's a camera Not often though. Look, they're here to watch you, Mayor. They're here.
No. I think we would get a lot more women watching our show because he's a good-looking guy. You know, he's young. He's available. He's a good-looking guy. I think we would get a big extra women's audience that might just want to have a drink or coffee or a conversation with Ted. He's not married. Ted's not married yet. I mean, it could be taken up soon. Girls, ladies. He's only 32, 31. He's only 31.
Look, name a better wingman than America's Mayor Rudy.
No, I got a lot of people married. The president of the Yankees met his wife in my campaign, and they're married, very happily married now, forever and ever. I did a lot. Do you know I performed over 200 weddings as the mayor?
It's incredible.
And I was good at it.
Of course.
Not only that, I would do specialized weddings. I had a wedding of a Greek Orthodox and a Jewish couple, and the rabbi and the priest would not do it because I guess they had rather strict rabbi and priest, right? Because sometimes they'll do it. And the families, I don't know if the families were religious, they were ethnic. So they both, like the Jewish people very much appreciated their tradition, and the Greek people very much appreciated their tradition. So I wrote into my ceremony some Greek and some Hebrew.
Wow.
Now I know a little Greek from taking it for a year. Yeah. I don't know it, but I can at least pronounce it a little bit. I mean, it's pretty bad. I worked on it. I got somebody to help me with my Greek. I got somebody to help me with my Hebrew. And I did a little Greek and I did a little Hebrew. And I did the wedding. And I was really nervous. I wonder, maybe I shouldn't have done it. It could have been embarrassing. I knew both couples and I knew their families pretty well. They knew me. And they would come up, and the Jewish people seemed to be very happy with the wedding. They were very laudatory about how I had included the Jewish things, etc. The Greek people were very laudatory about my including the Greek stuff, but they seemed reserved and somewhat. And Greek people, like Italians, are very emotional. I mean, they're just like Italians. It's like they hug and they squeeze, and they sort of consider Italians cousins and vice versa. I could see a little hesitation. So when I got a little break, I talked to the father of the bride. She was the Greek, and I said, "Why does your family seem a little? I don't think they like the ceremony that much." He said they love the ceremony, but they don't think they're really married. Oh, I said, because of the religious stuff? He said, no, the ceremony was only 30 minutes. Our weddings take like 2 hours. They don't think it was long enough to get them married. I said, well, I could go back and do it 3 more times. I mean, basically, if you've ever gone to a Greek thing, they just stretch it out. I mean, like instead of walking around the bride once, you do it 7 times. Instead of doing the blessing once, you do it 4 times or three. It's either 3, 7, or 12. I mean, you do something either 3 times, 7 times. You never do anything once. So it isn't. I mean, if you take the Greek ceremony and you boil it down, it's 20 minutes. You want to do it 3 times, 7 times, and 12 times. Now it's 2 hours. So I said, next time I do it, the next Greek wedding I did, I took an hour. I just took an hour. Everybody was very, very happy.
I got to watch that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I have a feeling you like that one.
Oh, I love weddings.
They're happy occasions.
I love all this different... Weddings are, if weddings aren't happy, you're in deep trouble. If you're not happy at the time of the wedding, I mean, boy, oh boy.
Right, that's one thing. We're almost guaranteed a good time at a wedding, right?
I remember a couple that was getting married, and, some of them would come and talk to me before they were married, and they were already getting couples counseling.
Whoa.
I said, I don't know. You guys want to think about this?
We got married yet.
Couples counseling is great after you, but you haven't even married yet.
Yeah.
This is a very, very good thing to do. We put our issues aside and we work on our issues before.
Yeah, I've heard there's.
We have our issues, and
some they require it, like they want you to go through
have our issues. Now I gotta check if they're still married. When I see the people that I married, and most, I think my record's pretty good. I think I don't have a scientific study of it, but I think most of them lasted. And I've done a couple weddings after I was mayor because I can still do it.
Yeah.
I can still do weddings in New York City. I did a wedding down here. Well, we had dinner tonight with Jake, right?
Great guy.
I did his wedding.
Oh, you did there with those two.
I did his wedding down here.
Wow.
Right here in Palm Beach.
Mayor, I hope if I am to get married in the next 20 years.
See, now, I'm telling you, we should put him on. This guy will be married in a year when you see him. He's really handsome.
Will
guy.
you officiate my wedding?
Yeah, but I'd rather have you have a religious ceremony, and I'll come. But I would officiate.
Oh, yeah.
I have actually participated in religious ceremonies. I participated at Temple Emmanuel in a wedding with several rabbis and me.
Wow. So there's a way for you to be invited to be a part of it.
Yeah. I was part of that ceremony with the rabbis. I did a couple of things with Jewish weddings where I participated.
Wow, we might have to do a whole episode on weddings. How many?
I used to do one on Regis and Kathy Lee on Valentine's Day.
You did something on Regis and Kathy?
I used to do a wedding when I was mayor on Regis and Kathy Lee on Valentine's Day because they had a thing where you could win a wedding.
Yeah.
So you got married on Regis and Kathy Lee on Valentine's Day. You were sent on your honeymoon. It was one of those things you wrote an essay. I don't know what it was, but you won it. And I did for about 3-4 years. I did the ceremony
You
for
won
them.
a wedding, and part of the winning was to have the ceremony officiated by you.
Well, no, I think the real part was to have it done on live television
Of course, yeah.
with a show that was one of the top shows on live television.
Yeah, that was number
Regis
one.
and Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
But one of the bonuses was the mayor of New York City would do the wedding.
That's incredible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I bet you there's video of those out there.
They sure are. They sure are.
I gotta see some of
I did a wedding in the movie The Out of Towners. I officiated at a wedding.
Here's a tough one. You probably got invited to so many weddings, you couldn't go to them all.
No, but I would
What
send.
would you do if you couldn't go to a wedding? Yeah, it was somebody that was.
Well, I would send a note or a little gift, or sometimes I'd stop by for a short while.
I mean, you couldn't do it.
Well, if it was it all depended on if they were personal friends, and or sometimes if there was a very needy situation, a sad, difficult situation, and then there was sometimes I would just stop by and do it. I even walked in on weddings I had nothing to do with.
Oh, people.
When I was campaigning, I would just walk in and campaign.
There was like a wedding hall next door. Oh, people loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's something. So we're over, Mayor, but
We're in soccer. We're in soccer time. So we're gonna have to sign off for the weekend. We'll be back on Monday night, and on Sunday, Dr. Maria and I will be doing Uncovering the Truth, and with everything going on with this balloon, and with who knows what lies Abby Lowell and Hunter Biden will tell between now. They may change their story again and now say again that it's his.
That's embarrassing. I heard some people talk about this great lawyer. He had to walk it back a day later. He had to walk back what he said.
You're never a great lawyer when you sell your soul.
Yeah.
The minute you sell your soul, you're no longer a great lawyer.
He said what he said, and then he'd come back and say, "Oh, I didn't mean it. It's a Hunter."
There's no way, and he can go alibi about this all that he wants. The documents I showed you make it clear that it was John Mac Isaac's property, and for him to write this big long letter seeking Biden's buddies to investigate me and Bannon and everybody else, only a
banana republic.
Only a scummy lawyer does that. I wouldn't have done it.
Of course not. And I wouldn't have one Giuliani over 1,000.
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it for any client. Wouldn't have done it for myself. I'm not going to lie on a document I write to the Department of Justice. And he should be prosecuted for it. He certainly would be if it were the other way around. Let's see. So you have a great weekend. Go to Rudy Common Sense, RudyGiulianiCS.com. Hit subscribe.
Yes.
Catch a couple of the podcasts so that you can ask some really good questions next week. And don't forget Uncovering the Truth on WABC weeknightsradio.com. Thank you. Have a great weekend. God bless and protect our great country.